Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. Welcome to the start of a brand new season here for the BFBS Armed Forces Virtual Race Challenge, season number 4 here in 2024. I really cannot wait to get this racing underway. My name is Chris Buxton. I am one of your commentators for tonight and throughout this series, of which I am very, very much looking forward to. And I am not facing this challenge alone. I have a wingman in the commentary box. John Monroe joins me. Hello, John. Welcome to Donington Park.
Hello, Chris. Yeah, one mad Scotsman returns to the commentary box, but it's not David Christie this time. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. This is obviously a series that's been going on now for a good few seasons. It's built up ahead of steam, and I think we're both ready for some frenetic GT4 action with a lot of drivers who'll know each other on and off the circuit, a mixture of ability levels, but it's guaranteed exciting racing for sure.
Absolutely so. So each season that has run has seen a different type of car run. So in the opening season, it was the MX-5s. In the second season, it was GT3s, which is always good fun. GT cars never fail to generate some amazing action. Last season, we returned to a single spec series with the Toyota GR86 Cup car. This season it is it's multi-car, not multi-class. It is GT4s this time around. Fixed setups, so as much of an even keel as can be generated when you have 4 different cars to actually run. And these are the circuits that we are going to be visiting. We start the season here at the wonderful Donington Park on its national layout. We did the GP version of the circuit last season. Then off to Bonnie, Scotland for Knockhill on the 5th of March, then Silverstone, and then a random choice for round number 4. So no one will get a particular advantage on that occasion ahead of time. Then at Brands Hatch Indy, Alton Park International, then off to America for Daytona for the 7th round as we hit the 9th of April. Snetterton 300, Norfolk's finest on the 16th. Then Brands Hatch GP. We return to the Kent Classic, and we finish the season on the national version of Silverstone. An amazing array of circuits, but yeah, we are going to see an amazing array of racing as well.
For sure, yeah. It's a great calendar. Normally calendars based on UK tracks are very exciting. I think the GT4 cars really do suit these British circuits. You've got a nice mixture of the tight, twisty, technical and dangerous tracks. Donington National is one of those that flows really beautifully, lots of fast corners, also overtaking opportunities, has to be said, but a lot of momentum killing sections where, if you get it slightly wrong, you're going to be out of the train and you're going to be dropping back a long way. And then, of course, we've got the open circuits like Silverstone, we've got the Daytona Road Course. That's going to be a fun little away round for the drivers later on in the season. And I really do like the fact that we've got an unknown round as well, Chris. Adds a bit of excitement. I believe that round's location will be decided during rounds 5 and 6. But of course, the focus tonight is on Donington National. We're looking at some of the corners that's not actually on Donington National. We're not going to be going down here to the Melbourne Loop, thankfully, because this is a bit of the circuit that is a bit frustrating as a driver. But the national circuit just flows so well from corner to corner. I think all of the drivers absolutely love it. I've not really heard too many people complain about Donington ever, I don't think.
I am a big fan of Donington Park, both from a commentary standpoint. It is a circuit I've had the great honour of working at. But unlike your good self, I have not driven a physical lap. I've driven many a virtual lap and binned many a virtual lap around the testy elements of Donington Park. From a driver's standpoint, Mr. Monroe, what are your thoughts around this amazing circuit?
The biggest thing, as I was saying before, is momentum. You really need to carry momentum everywhere here. Turn 1, it's a late apex. You've just got to get that power down as early as possible and carry the speed down the Craner curves. Old Hairpin's my favourite corner in the whole of the UK. It's such a commitment-based corner. It's the corner you can see right now, actually, behind the track map. And it requires so much bravery. Again, different lines on the way in, but it's all about getting the power on as early as possible and being brave on the exit as to not run too wide, getting enough track warning, but also keep the speed up, and you will carry that momentum all the way up to McLean's. That's the main word that comes to mind. It's always about momentum here. If you just slightly get out of rhythm, if you maybe hit the curb in the wrong way at the chicane or miss an apex slightly, it's very difficult to get dialed back in. So the experienced drivers tend to do well around here at Donington, and qualifying will be important as well, Chris, because even though you can pass around here, it can sometimes be a little bit tricky.
Absolutely, sir. And look how close these times are. My goodness me. So, series returnee Stuart McFadden is one of the few drivers to take on the McLaren. And he is currently in our pole position slot. There is Jack Trunwitt. in one of the Aston Martins, and that is a stunning livery. I very much look forward to seeing that. So we'll see how the number 86 car fares. There is the McLaren, the number 53 car. Currently has pole by half a second, which may not sound like a lot, but when it's only, what's that, not even 70 seconds for Stewart to get around the lap, half a second is a surprising percentage. And again, look at the gaps between each car throughout the remainder of the top 20. You don't see a gap that's actually that big. So amazingly, Stuart McFadden has just dialed in that McLaren brilliantly well.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the gap between McFadden in first and Boland in P2 is actually the biggest gap of the whole field. And it's not just because McFadden is in the McLaren and the only full-time McLaren driver, because he was obviously the top 3 last season in the championship, so we know this is a driver with lots of skill as well, possibly the championship favourite. But we currently ride on board with the 23 of James King for RAF eMotorsports, heading down the first 2 corners through the Craner curves, fully committed in the BMW. This is the old hairpin I was talking about. Brake nice and early, 2 wheels on the curb, get turned in and get on the power before you hit the apex. The back's going to come nicely around there. It seems to be very, very stable for James, which is a good sign. A lot of stability is needed around here if you want to have good race pace, but he's going to now keep into the left, through McLean's, onto the brakes, middle of the circuit for braking, and get yourself all the way over that curb on the right, all the way over the curb on the left. And then, of course, you've got the blind coppice, one of the most difficult corners on the circuit. Blind apex, you've got to turn at the right point. A couple of stabs on the turn-in from James there. You saw him almost turning out of the corner, then back in, just trying to throw the weight around in the BMW. As he heads down the back straight, he'll be delighted that he's going right instead of left, because we are about to head into the final S's, which, of course, used to be closer to the pit lane, but it's now moved forward. Big sausage curb on the right, big sausage curb on the left. Lots of time to be gained and lost through there, and then back on the power in that beautiful sounding BMW. He is going to cross the line, and I think he's going to stay in 4th.
He does indeed remain where he is at the moment. I think the position saying he's in 2nd, but I think the tower, it needs to sort itself out a little bit. But yeah, there's quite a raspy sound, isn't it, from that BMW? That's one of the things we get to look forward to, is these cars sounding very, very different. As we now look at the number 86 car of Chris Boland. Off air, we were talking actually to his teammate Chris Slater. They are sporting the Aston Martins. Slightly further down the field, we see another one of our BMWs, James Fielding, number 84 car. He is new to us this season. So there's around about 15 or so returning drivers from last season. From the initial sign-ups, there's around 12 that were brand new to this season, which, there's quite a few drivers that didn't return to us. Was that we see Stuart McFadden almost back-ending the Mercedes there, the number 24 car, stuck in a rock and a hard place there, because you can't do anything when you're committed to the old hairpin. You can't just jump out of the way, otherwise you will sail off into the wall.
No, the car is completely loaded through there, and you have to commit before you get there. So if you try and do anything different or surprising with your inputs, as you say, you're heading very quickly towards the wall. But did well to avoid an incident there, it has to be said. I'm very impressed as well with Luke Arpino, who seems to be... we've got a few issues with our timing tower at the moment, but it looks like he's in P2, which is a great performance from the man who came 12th last season. So he'll be looking to make some progress, running for Royal Air Force, of course, in the Porsche. And now we jump back to the 86. That is Chris Boland. And that livery is looking great, isn't it? He's just going to do some warm-up laps. Now, some of these drivers will have driven their cars before, which is a first for the season, because the GT4 Porsche was actually used in a multi-class system in Season 2, as well as the GT3. So some of the drivers will have a bit of experience in their cars, but lots of them won't. So it's going to be a bit of a learning curve for most, as we see James crossing the line to what I believe is start a flying lap. It looks like the gaps also come down between the lead 2 as well, so it's nice and close.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we see one of our Astons, James Fielding, we do have quite a big representation from the Royal Air Force. Now, as a point of note, this series is set up for serving or veteran members of our armed forces. So that's the Royal Air Force, the British Army, and our Royal Navy. So we thank each and every one of them for their service to our country. This series set up primarily for them to kind of let off some steam, so to speak. And there is our co-repulsor, Stuart McFadden, just coming over the line once more in the McLaren. And Luke Arpino is indeed in 2nd position. Yeah, well spotted. There is another McLaren. You did actually say before we went on air that somebody else was running the McLaren. And that's the number 31 car of Adam Barron that is running that second McLaren. I thought he'd originally signed up at a Porsche, so he's decided to change car now.
Sorry, just to interrupt you, Chris. I don't think that's actually Adam Barron. I think that's
I beg your pardon. That's the timing.
I think that's
glitch.
Adam Barron in his martini-looking Porsche.
That most certainly a Porsche, yes. And again, another very resplendent, very proud of the Air Force, and don't blame him at all. So he has Adam Barron in the Porsche. Very good-looking car there.
I think it's Dan Hardwick, actually, that showed up in the McLarens. He did speak to me earlier on. Dan Hardwick, the man behind a lot of the organisation for this season, so we thank him as well for all the work he's put in behind the scenes. He wasn't expecting to be racing tonight. I don't think he's doing a full season, but that may well be him turning up in his McLaren to get a couple of races under his belt. So that is great to see. Obviously, he'll have a bit of catching up to do to try and get up to pace, but I know he's been putting in some laps behind the scenes, so he was ready for this moment. As we see Adam Barron not committing to the exit, so that's going to be it. I think the qualifying session is over in terms of time now, so all the drivers on the circuit will have to complete this final flying lap. I believe that might be us, Chris.
Indeed. So we'll go through the grid very shortly when that data is available to us, but it was very much a commanding performance from the returning Stuart McFadden. And like I say, he was third last time out behind Ryan Martin and Chris Pawley, neither of which have returned. So Ryan Martin not defending his title, or at least not yet, so to speak. So here is how the grid stands. So on the front row, Stuart McFadden, as mentioned, with Peter Plastow in the 312 car, joining him on the front row. Then is Adam Waters and Neil Jack on row 2. Bradley Kropp and John Finch take on row 3. Scott Eastwood and Jack Ajewski on row 4, with Ryan Abbott and Jack Trunwitt rounding out the top 10. Now all the times are in, the tower saw themselves out a little bit, and we will be heading trackside very shortly for a 15-minute race. There will be 2 races per night, and there will be 10 racing nights, so 10 weeks of amazing racing here on this series, 2 races in each. So the qualifying sorts out the grid for race number 1, and then there is a random element of random grid for race number 2, which we will go through in greater depth. And there's that picture again from Adam Barron, which I reckon is Donington Park. As John was pointing out off air, the barriers are green as opposed to blue, so not 100% sure where that picture is taken.
We're gonna get there by the end of the season, Chris. We're gonna know where we're at.
Yes.
I'm not sure, because on the qualifying order there, as I say, we're having a few small issues with the timing tower. I didn't see Arpino's name there. I did see Peter Plastow in the front row, but now it's showing him as third. So we need to keep an eye on that and see. But good to see some newcomers right up at the front of the grid. As we see the lights coming on, I think we're about to go green here.
We are indeed standing start. We know the process is time to wind them up and to let them go. That's someone with a terrible start at the tail end of the field. I think it's Abbott that is falling down the field. So, Stuart McFadden having a bit of lag issue there. That's what's causing his car to appear and disappear like that. So, that's Barron, I think, is going for a bit of a wander on the exit of Redgate. That was Arpino. Oh, no, it was indeed Luke Arpino, who's lost a couple of positions. But look at Stuart McFadden. He's capitalising on the fact that he's now got a 7/10 gap behind him. Plastow second, Barron in third.
Yeah, a bit of, we see one of the Astons, the 45, spinning on the way out of Old Hairpin. That's Etik. So he's going to have a long recovery drive from there with only 15 minutes. It's going to be tough to recover from any sort of mistakes in this series. Perfect start, of course, from Stuart McFadden off the front row. He got it well lit off the grid into turn 1, nice and control. Obviously a little bit of lagging and the car disappearing, which wouldn't have been helping things for the guys behind, but everyone at the front at least looks to have got through cleanly. A nice clean start for Plastow as well in second, the newcomer to the series in the Aston Martin, representing the Army, but he's under a lot of pressure from Adam Barron already as we head towards the S's for the first time. Adam Barron, a man who's been racing this series for a couple of seasons now and looking to finally break into the podium positions in the championship.
Absolutely. So look at that squabble behind Stuart McFadden, and Stuart, the only man of the 14s on that opening lap. So he's very much looking to continue where he left off and get some wins under his belt very early. But look at this. That is Plastow, Barron and Boland all arguing for second position. It's Aston from Porsche from Aston at the moment for the second spot on that podium. Then right behind them you've got Arpino, who's, as we saw, lost a couple of positions from the start. Look how close Chris Boland is. He's really hustling hard now. Adam Barron in that Porsche, riding on board now with the Aston Martin. The number 86 car as he nearly gets into the boot of the Porsche, just about avoids impact. They come through McLean's up towards Coppice. This blind right-hander in probably one of the most difficult corners in the entire UK. Again, I've been to many a virtual lap up there in the past. But look at the gap as well behind Chris Boland, as we've got a replay of... no, this is a replay of the spin. Oh, a bit of netcode there. That does unfortunately happen. Whether the clients aren't quite in sync. There was a bit of a gap there. That's going to be of no consolation really to Stewie's with that caused his car to spin. But this battle for second continues. Again, look at Adam Barron having a look on the inside line coming into Redgate. Can't get the Porsche through there.
Yeah, this is a really good battle on for P2. We've got a little bit of a train developing here behind Plastow. Now, he obviously had pace based on the qualifying. We know Barron's got pace from the previous few seasons, as does Boland, of course, behind. So it'll be interesting to see how this one settles out. Chris Boland looking very, very racy, has to be said, on the back of Barron. He's got a great run out of the old hairpin. Barron leaves a little bit of space there as we head up the beautiful sunset here at Donington. It's not the kind of place you want to be going in blind to these corners because it's already difficult enough as it is. So Chris Boland looking to the outside, he's going to try and get switched back, but a little bit of oversteer there with the brutal Vantage as they now head up the hill towards Coppice. Turns in, everything under control, and Barron looks like he's going to hold on for another lap. But these guys have got to watch the mirror as well, because you can see the beautiful train there. You've got Arpino not far behind, you've got King in the mix as well, and then Slater, of course, rounding out your top 7. So yeah, great stuff, but it's McFadden just basically driving away at the front, driving off into the sunset. There you go, that's the time for that sentence.
Very, very much so. Now a bit of a gap forming there for Peter Plastow in that lead Aston Martin, as Stuart McFadden continues to dance off into the sunset, clear off into the horizon. New fastest lap of the race, you can see there is purple for Chris Slater down in 7th place. So he started to really push on a bit, but he's got a bit of a gap to close down if he wants to challenge for the lead, and not much time to do it. The 15-minute races are just all-out sprints, which are absolutely great fun to deal with. A little bit further back, Ryan Abbott's in the number 25 Mercedes. He is challenging the back of Colin Scott, in the Aston Martin, one of our Royal Air Force veterans. So really close, flirting with the grass and the sand on the outside of the old hairpin there for the Aston. Now back up to this battle for second is now a 4-car conga line with the addition of the Porsche of Luke Alpino on the back.
We've got James King, the Season 1 champion, just in behind with Slater all over the back of him. But this is where our eyes are at the moment, because this is where it gets exciting. A little bit wide on the exit again from Plastow, so we'll be feeling the pressure now as Barron gets the slipstream in his Porsche. He's going to go to the outside, hit the brakes into turn 1, nice and wide line, but actually from behind, it's a brilliant move down the inside from Boland, who takes advantage. I thought Barron was kind of setting himself up for the exit there, completely forgot there's an Aston Martin right behind him, and through goes Boland. Superb move.
I think I caught Adam Barron by surprise as much as he did us. But look, right behind you have got Luke Alpino in the Porsche, looking to try and make up for lost time. So let's have a look at that again from the external shot. So there's Chris Boland in the blue and black Aston Martin. So he's just positioned himself and then suddenly turns to that apex line. I think that's what he planned to do all along. He just kind of left the turn in as late as he possibly could. And also behind you've got King and Slater side by side. I think James King must have had a bit of a tough run through Coppice then, because he has lost a bit of time and a position as a result. But now this battle, back to a 3-way battle between Plastow, Boland and Barron for that second. Oh, that's too much apex there. That's going to look at the amount of momentum that costs us, exactly accentuating your point you were making earlier, John, where momentum is absolutely king. With Chris Boland just costing himself that little bit of momentum. He's now challenged for that third, but does manage to hold on to it for now. Adam Barron tries to get the up and under in the Porsche. Can he get the traction down when he needs it? Not quite. The Aston Martin just remains ahead.
That's the thing with Donington. People say you can't overtake around here. You most certainly can, but a lot of the time it's to do with another driver making a mistake rather than you making a move. I mean, obviously we've seen a fantastic move down to turn 1 from Boland. Super clean from both guys. He got it stopped. It was fantastic. But normally at Donington National, you're really trying to just pressurise the driver in front to make mistakes. I think it's one of those circuits where you see more and more up and unders and cutbacks where a driver just goes wide on the way and tries to get a good exit, forces a lockup and things like that. This is why it's such a good circuit for racing, because it just encourages the best of everything. As we now look back at Adam Waters, but this man Chris Boland continues on ahead of Barron, and that's actually given a little bit of breathing room now for Plasto to run away in second place. He's got probably about a second as we head into the S's now. We're already 7 minutes into this race, so we're almost halfway through already. It's not going to take long for these races to follow through, and of course for the drivers as well. Not long to make the moves, but they're going to be having a blast, and it's been great racing so far, it has to be said. Lap times looking pretty good as well, underneath the 110s for Plastow in P2, almost as quick as McFadden on that occasion.
We have one car into the pits, the number 33 of Bradley Kropp has brought the BMW in. He did look a little bit slow, so he's had an incident of some description. It's not a pit stop race. If you are having to go into the pits, it's pretty much your race done and dusted. We will be, of course, returning to the track for the second round tonight, so it's not his racing completely dealt with for the time being. But we continue to watch Gordon Aston Martin, the growling beast of Chris Boland, hanging on to third place, under pressure still from Adam Barron in the Air Force Porsche, and a little bit of a gap back to Luke Arpino in the chasing Porsche as well. All kicking up a little bit of dust, nothing too bad. That's the thing about Donington, you have got to utilize every pixel, every millimeter of space to get the best lap time. You're gonna, oh, again, he's done it again as Chris Boland. He's caught both of the sausage curbs there, cost himself twice as much time as he did last time. This surely is an opportunity for Adam Barron to wrestle that third. Can he hold on to it though? He's tried to shut the door. He left it very late, and that's the number 33. That's Bradley Kropp that's coming back on circuit, having just served his pit stop and well staying out of the way. But yeah, that one mistake from Chris Boland just went too deep into the Roberts chicane, caught both of the sausage curbs, and that's cost him third.
Pure unadulterated deja vu out of the last chicane there, and good move from Barron. And once again, it was a mistake that made the difference in terms of the move. So I mean, clearly Boland's got the pace, but he's just struggling to get that consistency, get that, stability through the chicane. Maybe the Aston struggling relative to the Porsche with that particular complex. We also saw King and Slater once again side by side in the background heading into turn one. But it's Plastow who's running away in the, obviously representing the Army. Now, it's probably a good time to talk a little bit about how the Teams Championship works here. We've got a lot of RAF representation at the top of the grid, as we have done in the past few seasons as well. In fact, the RAF have dominated the team standings of this series in the past. But this year, the regulations are slightly different. So we've got only a maximum of 2 drivers scoring for each team to try and keep it a little bit closer. And Plastow's doing a great job representing the Army up in P2, so going to get some solid points for those guys. Meanwhile, Barron and Boland at the moment are fighting to be the second team's point scorer for the RAF.
Indeed. So at the moment it is Aston versus Porsche for the last spot on the podium. As Stuart McFadden, well, when we do try and look at him, he lags out of existence. So he's proving a bit camera shy, Stuart McFadden, at the moment, but carrying on along his merry way nonetheless. So now that Chris Boland doesn't have challenge from behind, Luke Arpino, he's nearly 2 seconds behind. He doesn't need to look in his rearview mirrors at all. So for the final 5 minutes of this race, he can just focus on trying to dislodge, trying to get Adam Barron out of his rhythm and then pounce for that position. And the Aston, a bit happier in the straights than the Porsche. Porsche a little bit more nimble in the corners. So the bigger the car, it's a little bit stereotypical to say, but generally the bigger the car, the better it is in a straight line. The smaller it is, the better cornering efficiency that the car tends to have. It's not quite that straightforward, but that's a sort of general rule of thumb. The McLaren, very, very well. The McLaren is quite happy anywhere in the hands of Stuart McFadden, it would seem. But we'll see. That may not always be the case, though. Yeah, there will be some circuits that don't suit the characteristics of the McLaren. There's not huge differences between each of our 4 marks that are represented, but there are enough to make a bit of a difference depending on where we are. And that was Neil Jack having a look on the inside line coming towards Robert chicane. You won't really make a move there unless someone makes a big mistake. Right behind him though is Jewski in that purple Mercedes. Oh, he's again having to get on the brakes a bit earlier than he probably would like. The Porsche holding on to that 14th place. Yeah,
so we've got good battles all the way throughout the field here. You've got Ryan Abbott's just up there ahead in 13th as well. I'm sure he'll be happy with that position at the moment, hanging on. But yes, nice to see some colour in the field as well with the purple Mercedes. But for the time being, Neil Jack manages to hang on to that position in the Porsche. Just about inside the top 15 as it stands at the moment. as they head now towards McLean's, but we're back to this battle for P2. And I tell you what, they've closed right in on Plastow. I thought he might have made a mistake on the last lap, but it might just be that the pace isn't quite as strong for him as it is for Barron and Boland behind. We'll see the lap times hopefully as come across. And yeah, you can see their fastest lap of the race from Barron and Boland, or PBs at least, from their perspective. So super pace from third and fourth, finally beginning to work together, and they've actually closed up on Plastow. Maybe a bit of RAF teamwork. Of course, this is Barron's final year serving for the RAF before he moves into the veterans team, so he'll be looking to score some points for these guys on his way out. And there's still a few minutes to go in this race, probably about 3 more laps, I would say, Chris, something like that, and there's still plenty of time for this to all go well or all go wrong. We'll have to wait and see which way.
Absolutely true. Yeah, I think Peter Plastow must have made a mistake, because he was 2 seconds to the good, or near enough. And again, he's not got the greatest exit from McLean's, having to defend that inside line on the run up towards Coppice. And because of that, he's compromised his run through that corner, through that blind right-hander. Here comes the Porsche that Adam Barron, he's drawn alongside. He'll have the inside line for the chicane. And there we go. I think... Oh, there's a lot of curb hopping going on there. I think Plastow broke a little bit early to try and get the racing line, trying to get the momentum. But here comes Boland. And it looks like I wonder, is there a problem suddenly for Plastow? Because he's suddenly slowed right down and let Boland through, unless he's deciding that he can't be the main point scorer. He could be thinking a bit more kind of team tactics there. He's decided he doesn't want to hold up Chris Boland for scoring the points for the well, no, mind you, it's the Porsche, beg your pardon, that is going to be our second point scorer for the RAF. Either way, it's not going to stop them racing for that on track position. They want that next step on the podium, and so close again. You just had to see the correction in angle of attack that Chris Boland had to take to not plough into the back of the Porsche.
Yeah, it almost looked like a missed gear or something for Plastow. He just lost a bit of momentum on the straight. Was right in the mix of that battle. It is a fantastic feeling at Donington to be heading towards the S's with 2 cars side by side in front of you, because you just know that things are going to kick off and you're probably going to come out of it on top. But Barron did really well to get the move done before the S's, of course, and get away with it, as we now see the white flag out there for Stuart McFadden, who now heads on to the final lap. And it's been a dominant display from Stuart. He went into this race as one of the championship favourites based on his P3 result from last season. He was in the championship fight until the last round as well, and we know how high the quality was last season. But what a way to start the campaign. He's going to establish himself straight away as a front runner, and McFadden just needs to keep it all together for one more lap. We'll probably not watch him too much in this last lap, because he's definitely having some internet issues, which it's almost, well, I'd say it's definitely a good thing for his sake that he's managed to pull away at the front, because it's given him the space to have those internet issues and not cause any issues for anybody else.
Well, will Peter Plastow hang on to fourth? That's going to be another question as well, as Luke Arpino is closing in on him. But once again, Chris Boland re-examines the tail end of that Porsche up towards Coppice for the final time in this race. Oh, the Porsche broke him very early, but what he's done is he's actually disrupted that valuable momentum for Chris Boland. Whether that was the intention of Adam Barron or not, that is the result he's managed to do. But your winner for race number 1 of this season, there he is, takes the checker flag, is the McLaren of Stuart McFadden. Second, by fending off all the pressure in the world, is the number 12 Porsche of Adam Barron's. Third is Chris Boland. 4 is Peter Plastow. 5th is Luke Arpino. Chris Slater will be 6th with James King in 7th. And therefore it is Adam Waters in 8th place. That's Stu Etok that had the earlier issues in the race, still battling for position, as well as our second McLaren that is trying to do battle. It's all the way through the field. There's fighting going on. They may not be scoring team points. They will be scoring drivers' points. There is a drivers' championship still in order. Oh, there's going to be side by side a sprint to the line for 16th place. Who's going to win out on this one? The Mercedes just about manages to win out on that one. But what a way to start the season.
Yeah, textbook motorsport here, textbook virtual racing at Donington. We didn't see a single incident there on camera that was someone's fault. You know, we saw a bit of contact on lap 1 due to some netcode, but no bad driving, some fantastic battles, close racing, especially in that top 7 battle. Some great battling between Slater and King, and of course, just up in front there, we had the 3-way battle for P2, which was just superb as well. So now I think, Chris, it's time to look at our reverse grid position for race 2.
Indeed. So you in front of us now is the Wheel of Destiny, call it as you will. Now this is how many positions are going to be reversed. So we'll have our producers spin it. So numbers 6 to 12 are on the it's a top 12 reverse. So that's over half the grid. So there's 20 cars out there. So the top half plus a couple are going to be reversed from their finishing spot. So that's even worse for Stu. Those at the top want that number to be small because it means they start further up the grid. So Stu McPherson, instead of starting 6th, if it was going to be a top 6 reverse, he now starts 12th. So that's going to add to the challenge. He was very, very quick. But bearing in mind, it is only 15 minutes. So and that's a lot of cars to have to work through.
You know what I just said about having no incidents, Chris? I'm not feeling super confident for this one. No, I love a reverse grid, and especially the random nature of it. You know, when you're a driver in this situation and you know that between 6 and 12 are going to be reversed, you're just desperate to try and claw your way into that top 12 in the hope that just maybe things will fall your way. And I unfortunately didn't memorize who finished 6 to 12, so I don't know who's reversed, but we'll see very soon, I'm sure. But that is just such a good feeling when you finally get that P12 finish and you get that 1 in 6 chance and it comes through for you. So exciting on one hand, and then also nerve-wracking on the other if you're less experienced, because suddenly you're going to be at the front of a hungry pack of GT4 racing cars heading around Donington. The pressure definitely shows, but reverse races of 15 minutes, it's brilliant to watch. Great for you guys watching at home, and I'm sure it's great for the drivers as well. I really hope that Stuart can sort some of his internet issues, because that will make racing in the middle of the pack very, very difficult for him especially. So fingers crossed for his sake he can sort that out. But yeah, I mean, that race flew by. It was brilliant to watch.
It certainly did. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, John. I love a reverse grid race, both from a competitive standpoint and from a commentary standpoint. We've got 2 of our podium finishes ready to come and have a chat to us. First one I will grab is our Porsche pilot. That being... Oh, I've put him in the wrong place. So I put him in the room we were in. Hang on, let me try that again. Where are we? Let's try that again. There he is. Adam Barron, are you with us?
I am indeed.
My apologies. I moved you into the wrong room to start with. Well, I think it's fair to say you had rather a lot to do in that race. Talk us through it from your side.
Yeah, it was good. I was happy with that. The start went well. Surprisingly, I didn't do any practice starts, so that went all right. And then, trying to chase Pete down, and then Chris absolutely sent it on the first corner. A really good move, overtook me. Managed to get him back, and then I could see Pete in the distance. I was hoping to try and work together to try and get hold of him, and he had a really bad lap. Managed to get the overtake, and that was it. But Steve McFadden is on a different time level to the rest of us at the moment, so I don't know what we're going to do to try and stop him.
So you have opted for the Porsche for this season. What was your rationale behind the German mark?
Purely a financial one. I
Nice.
had the car owned previously from the 2 seasons ago, so rather than fork out another 15 quid, I thought, no, I'll stick with the Porsche.
Excellent stuff. And for those that may not be aware, you're part of our Royal Air Force. Give us a little bit of an insight on your day-to-day, shall we say.
So I'm an RF mover by trade. It's actually my second to last week ever. I've done 22 years, so I'm getting out of the service soon. But 22 years of being a mover, going all around the world, loading all the logistics aircraft. It's been a really good 22 years. Veterans instead of the RAF.
We very much appreciate your service there, Adam.
Can I ask Adam something real quick, Chris? Sorry, just
please do, John.
So 22 years in the service, you'll have had a lot of surprises, but where does that move from Chris Boland rank on your list of surprises? Because I did not see that one coming.
No, neither did I. And speaking to the chats, he was 100% confident it was going to happen, but I'm sure there was a twitchy bum moment involved in that move. No, fair play. I saw him coming at least, so I managed to not turn in on him, give him the time and try and work my way back. But no, it was good racing. I've had a few good races with Chris so far, so that's another one to add to the list.
Awesome stuff. Well, we very much look forward to the performance in the second race of the night. So great start of the season, Adam, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Adam Barron. And our next waiting interviewee is Adam's sparring partner for the evening, Chris Boland. Chris, are you with us?
Yeah, how's it going?
Well, we thoroughly enjoyed that. It looks like you did too.
Yeah, that was a good season opener, I think. Hopefully it sets a precedent for the rest of the year.
So you've gone Aston this time. What was the decision behind the British Classic?
It was a 50-50 between that and the Porsche, to be honest. I like both. I just think the Aston looks nicer, to be honest. That was the final deciding factor for me.
Nice, I like it. I prefer the growl of the Aston over the scream of the Porsche as well. If I'm honest as well. So you're another one of our beloved RAF. Give us a little bit of insight on what your day-to-day involves.
So I've been in the Air Force for just over 20 years now. I'm a weapons technician. I've been on Typhoon for the majority of my career. Currently serving on 12 Squadron.
Excellent stuff. So Donington Park, is this a track that works well for you?
It's a good. So it's not on the top of my list. There's plenty more favourites to come throughout the year.
And still manage the podium.
Happy days.
Happy days. Any questions from you, John?
Well, I was going to ask, you were 7th in the championship last season, but obviously there's quite a few of you from that pack, and Adam's included in that have kind of moved forward this season. We're missing a couple of ex-champions, but you guys have really brought your A game. What are your expectations and hopes for the season in terms of the results? Are you looking to try and fight for the championship, or maybe a podium position in the end?
Well, to be honest, throughout all the practice and the build-up, I've been towards the top end of the timesheet, so it's been quite a good little confidence booster. However, I knew that Stu would be lurking in the background somewhere, and sure enough, tonight he definitely brought his A game and put paid to that plan. So I'll hopefully I'll get a bit more to grips with the car throughout the year, and I can hopefully push towards Stu. But yeah, podium, 100%. That's definitely the aim.
It's good to have something to chase, and you've thoroughly entertained us in that first race. So we thank you and Adam and Peter, of course, for that brilliant battle for P2 throughout. It was really enjoyable.
Nice one. Cheers, guys.
Yes, thank you very much, Chris Boland and Adam Barron, for joining us in the box. Our race winner has decided to remain aloof for the time being. Absolutely fine. They don't have to come and chat to us. It is always nice to hear from our podium finishers in particular. So now we have a bit of a break in between now and when the next session is ready to go. It's not the work of a moment to get the server set up, the reverse grid built. So do bear with us. We'll be back with you as soon as we can. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second round of the BFBS Armed Forces Virtual Race Challenge Season number 4. We have seen one amazing race at Donington Park, and now we get to do it all over again, but this time with the top 12 finishes from race 1 in reverse order. So what does that mean? Well, it means our pole man is Ben Weston, the Royal Air Force veteran in the Aston Martin. In second place is going to be Steve Ward in the RAF Porsche. In third is going to be Scott Eastwood. So he'll be taking on the Royal Navy Porsche, foremost running Royal Navy driver. And then is going to be Finch, Waters, King, Slater, Arpino, Plastow, Boland, Barron, and McFarlane, all the way back in 12th position in his mighty McLaren. Can he work his way through the field and reclaim that top spot? Well, only one way to find out is to stay with us through this next 15-minute race. Very, very much looking forward to this. Cars are just heading to grid now, so we'll be heading trackside very, very shortly. Glad to see we have some names in the chat. Ryan Martin, our champion from last season. Jerry on Stu. So John has forgotten to unmute his microphone. I'm sure John is waiting in the wings. But as we can see,
you disappeared from me there, Chris. I'm afraid.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
I'm not sure what you were talking about, but I'm going to presume it's about the race that's about to start.
Yes. Well, my last point was, are you excited? But
yes.
Here we go then. We know the process. It is time to wind them up and to let them go. That's not a good start for Weston. It's a storming start for Ward. Flying through. Oh, trouble at the back. Oh, my goodness me. There's several of our front runners from the previous races. Absolute chaos and anarchy in the back half of the field. Oh, my goodness me. So caught up in that as we are now looking at Trenwit. But that's Ijuski, who basically just pinballed off the wall, left to right. But we're now trying to get back towards the front of the field. That's impact there, but for Ben Weston. Couldn't quite catch it. Oh, big kick up the tail for, I think it was either King or Barron. They got a huge shunt up the tail. Oh my goodness me, this we don't want to see chaos, but it does tend to be somewhat lively in a reverse grid race.
And that's our leader, Eastwood, as well, running wide into McLean's, and it opens the door for Steve Ward. We've got a spinner in the background as well, and I did say that the second race with the reverse grid might be a little more chaotic, and it's already been more chaotic in 3 corners than the entirety of the first race. Unfortunately, McFadden making his way through, still having some lag issues, so hopefully that doesn't cause any bigger problems. But yeah, nightmare off the line for Plastow, getting involved in that incident. Not sure who else it was, but some of our front runners from the previous race for sure. And then we saw our pole sitter as well. Such a shame, spinning on the way out. See another spinner on the last corner. That's a big impact with the pit wall. So basically full-blown carnage here, lap 1 at Donington. And Eastwood had it, and then he didn't. And it looks like McFadden, after all of that, has come out in the lead once again.
Once again, yes. We've just seen another spinner there. I'm quite sure who it was. Oh, there it is. It was Scott Eastwood. You certainly mentioned him. And round he went, unfortunately, in the Porsche. Yep, so from reverse grid start, the whole grid completely reshuffled, and Stuart McFadden has managed to navigate that whole chaos. My goodness me, this is going to be amusing. So here's look at that. Just there was contact between the black and white cars there, which then just pinballed everybody into absolute oblivion. Oh, goodness me, it's never what you want to see. Oh, cars rolling backwards onto circuit is also never ideal. But somehow Stuart McFadden has come out smelling of roses.
Yeah, we saw something very similar actually last weekend in the Bathurst 500 with 3 cars coming together like that on the first straight on the first lap. But it happens in the real world, it happens in the virtual world, as we now see Jack Trunwitt down the insider pulling back in with his damaged Mercedes. But yeah, McFadden's come out with a bigger lead after 1 lap, Chris, from 10th on the grid, or 12th on the grid, than he managed from pole position in race 1, which is absolutely unbelievable. And you see now Barron making his way through on the inside of John Finch in that beautiful green Aston Martin as well. So Barron also already up into the top 4, following his sparring partner Boland through the field, and our Season 1 champion James King up in P2 as well. So it's kind of business as usual at the front. It didn't take them long to work their way through. Finch is probably the last remaining survivor from further down in the reverse grid, so that someone who started towards the front, I should say. Arpino's done well as well, up in 6th position. But it's going to be battle resuming, I'm sure, between Boland and Barron if they can make their way past James King. But a mistake there from Boland, who was having a look at King. Barron takes advantage straight down the inside on the exit of McLean's and moving up. And now we're going to see Finch getting involved as well down the inside of Boland. You've got the two Aston Martins side by side on the exit, and Finch makes the move. So it's P4 back up for Finch. It's going to be frustrating though, because Boland's got the pace. We know he's got the pace, and now he's going to have to make that move all over again and try to catch back up with his old sparring partner.
We have all 5 marks represented in the top 6 or 7 positions. We are being led by a McLaren. We have a BMW, Porsche, and an Aston, all doing battle here. Oh, that is getting very, very close. We're just missing a Merc. Actually, that's the one mark we aren't seeing in this top half of the top group. All battling for position. That beautiful green Aston Martin back up into 4th position ahead of Chris Boland, following his mistake up at McLean's last time around. Replay of aforementioned mistake.
Yeah, so what's going to happen? It's nice and tidy at the moment on the way up from McLean's. Nothing too dramatic, or towards McLean's, I should say, out of Old Hairpin. So let's just see what happens through here. As we see a move, is this live? Because that's Boland going down the inside of Finch. So unless that's from earlier, we're seeing
that's live.
Yes, that is live actually. Yes, so that's Boland retaking the position back up to P4. We also saw Barron pass King as well in the previous lap on the way out of the S's towards the first corner. So Barron's going to have a little bit of breathing room for the first time all night ahead of King. And this is the replay. So here we go. So Boland on the outside. Just gets a bit of a wiggle of oversteer on turn-in. And then nearly makes contact with Barron on the rejoin. It's a strange bit of car behaviour, has to be said, in the middle of the corner. There's some flashing lights in the rear. I don't know if it was a pit limiter activated or something weird like that. But the car definitely behaved in a way where the weight suddenly shifted from one side to the other in a place where you wouldn't normally expect it. So strange from my perspective there, Chris.
It was a bit unusual, wasn't it? Unless the BMW of James King put Chris Boland off a little bit. But either way, his momentum was definitely disrupted, and he nearly got a punch in the face from Adam Barron whilst he was at it. But either way, they all live to lap another day. Slightly further back, Jack Trunwitt now up into 7th position following the chaos and anarchy of the opening laps. And there is Dan Hardwick, who didn't see a great deal of the red, white and blue McLaren in the first race, but now inside the top 10 and nailed to the back of what I believe is the lead Mercedes in the race of Jack Trunwitt. Up into 7th. Whoa, that's an exploratory line going on from Adam Waters in the next Mercedes. Again, representing the Royal Air Force. Now, what can the McLaren do here? It's a fairly decent run. Oh, flirting with the grass again. You do not want to be giving away any momentum. As a look at the inside line, unless you've got a banzai from way too far back, that's not a move that's going to happen. That's Jack Trunwitt under a lot of pressure, and he himself has gone a little bit too deep on the exit of the Robert chicane. That's potentially 2 places. Well, it's going to be 1 position he's lost. Dan Hardwick gets the run down towards Redgate. Can he get the line? Yes, he can. The Mercedes slightly wrong-footed there. And then Adam Waters has decided to have a go on the inside line of Hollywood. And that's down to 9th position for Jack Trunwitt in 2 corners.
Donington Park in a nutshell. Their mistake followed by lack of momentum, and there's 2 places gone in 2 corners. Just brutal from the circuit, but that's what motorsport's all about. As Boland now runs nice and wide, but has made the move on King, so that's up to P3 for Chris Boland in the RAF Aston Martin. And he will now try and close that gap down towards Barron, but Barron's had a little bit of breathing space to try and run away. So it's looking very similar at the moment to what we saw in race 1 as King disappears. He comes back, thankfully, so more issues with the internet there, but hopefully that can solve itself. 2 tenths between them as they head into the S's. 7 minutes into this race already, but Dan Hardwick making progress in the McLaren ahead of the 2 Mercedes that follow him, of course, after that mistake previously from Trunwitt out of the S's. Looks nice and tidy for these 2 at the moment though, and not for Trunwitt. He makes another mistake and he almost loses the back end on the exit. It's funny because the Mercedes is normally very, very good over the curbs, unlike the McLaren, but it's the Mercedes that seems to be struggling at the moment, as we see the other Mercedes not struggling quite so much down the inside on the way into Redgate. Nice bit of room left there on the inside from Hardwick, and that's a great move from Adam Waters. He's getting closer back towards the starting position and moves up into P7 in that black Mercedes.
That's a very menacing looking car, isn't it? That black number 9, piloted by Adam Waters. Mentioned one of our plethora of Air Force representees as we look at our race leaders. Doug McFadden, well, we'll try to, whilst his internet holds out as he comes past one of our backmarking BMWs. Again in a league of his own. There's John Finch, then side by side. That's Luke Arpino in the blue, black and white Porsche. That looked very, very deep, but somehow manages to get the 22 to turn. I thought he was going to be sailing over the Robert chicane there, but does manage to get the car turned in and confidently claims that 5th position from the beautiful green number 886 Aston Martin. So next up for Luke Arpino is our Season 1 champion James King in the number 23 BMW.
Yeah, superb move from Arpino, who's having a really good run in the 22. A stunning livery on that Porsche, it has to be said. Well done to all the livery designers. Here's another stunning livery as well, the James King 23 BMW, looking fantastic. So well done to everyone who's contributed in the livery creation. We jump back on board now with Arpino, though. He's having a great run. Arpino was 12th, I believe, last season. So we'll be hoping, of course, to break into the top 10 this time around. But it seems to be, like many of the drivers, making big inroads in the overall order, because we've seen Luke running pretty much in the top 8 throughout the weekend, or throughout the event, I should say, and now solidly running inside the top 5. So I think Luke's going to be pretty happy with how this one's playing out so far, managing to build that 8/10th gap to Finch in the green Aston Martin, as we now head to the S's, on board with the Mercedes over the sausage curb on the left. Big bounce there. Sorry, I say the Mercedes, it's Porsche, isn't it? As he now heads towards the finish line for another lap completed. And that's 10 minutes now into this race, so only 5 minutes to go. Not long at all, and these guys, they had to make progress quickly, and that's exactly what we've seen here today.
You won't be far off, actually, with 5 laps. So, replay coming up. So this is the wounded purple Mercedes losing a spot. My goodness me, that's oh dear, that's unfortunate. It has not been the well, what's left of that Mercedes. It's not been his day.
No, that car looks like it's been on a Grand Tour episode, and a little bit of that was an unfortunate one. You know, you could see it happening. One car runs a little bit wide, but they're trying to, you know, regain composure, avoid the sausage curves. It's not an easy one to avoid an incident there, and driver behind just didn't leave quite enough room in that situation. But you're committed into the chicane. There's really not much you can do. So I'd say an unfortunate racing incident there for the for those two. That purple car has been in the wars, it has to be said. Adam Barron now we're looking at in P2. I know it says 1 on the bottom left, but he is P2 behind McFadden, who's running away again at the front. It's going to be 2 podiums for Adam Barron at this rate, which I'm sure he'll be happy about. 2 second places, and it's looking like 2 third places for Boland as well. So we could have a repeat podium here in race 2, which, considering 12 cars were reversed for the reverse grid, that's mighty impressive. Now looking at Steve Ward further down the field, battling with a BMW of Fielding. It's 3/10 between these two, so unfortunately for them, this is not race 1, so they won't be gaining any potential reverse grid from that position, but we'll see how that one plays out for the rest of the race. You've got battles all the way throughout the field once again in race 2 here at Donington. It's been a super start to the season, but we've got such a long way to go.
Very long way to go, and a wide variety of tracks that will accentuate the advantages and disadvantages of different cars throughout the season. We look at... Someone was off.
That was the black Mercedes, actually, that we were looking at earlier.
Oh, was that on Waters?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a shame. The number 9 was doing so well, but now finds himself right the way down the field. Hopefully we'll be able to catch a replay of what happened to him. But as we look at Adam Barron, who is without challenge, there is Chris Boland behind him, but nowhere near as close as they were in race 1. Here is the replay of what happened to that black Mercedes. Now has he... Oh, he's got that wrong on the way through the crane occurs when the car gets unloaded. It is a very harsh trip to the gravel. That gravel trap is very deep in real life. I've seen many a car bury itself up to the axles in that very same box of kitty litter, but in iRacing terms, he will be able to dig his way out and get back on track, but you lose so much time trying to dig your way out. I do find it slightly ironic that that's his setup shop on the back, which is a great livery, but all the setups are fixed, so they can't actually utilize any setups from there. But either way, great livery on the car of James King in a very strong 4th place.
I'm going to start a fixed setup shop. That sounds like a great idea. Easy money, easy money. That was a garment color changing incident there. If it was real life, but thankfully it's not real life. Not a good incident though. You lose a lot of time stuck in that gravel trap, but thankfully in iRacing he's going to be able to pull himself back out and has resumed down in P14. So still going to be points for Waters, but not as many points as he would have been hoping running up in the top 7. But what it has done, of course, is promote Hardwick up into that P7. As we now watch Boland once again coming across the line. These guys doing mid-10s at the moment, so the pace is okay. Not quite as strong as it was in race 1, has to be said, but they'll just be looking to bring it home now. I think this battle's probably done that. I know that the Baron and Boland pace is so similar as it was last season, so I don't think these guys, unless there's a big mistake, will be seeing too much in terms of changes of position, shall it be said, but that's not the case for this battle. We now jump back to the P12, P11 battle, which is Steve Ward. Actually, no, it's down for P10, of course, and he makes the move down the inside. Lots and lots of room being left from fielding. Nice, respectful racing, but it's a great move by Steve Ward, makes it stick, and that's going to be a top 10 now for the RAF driver in the 36. Nice and clean. And now it's going to be the mirrors once again for fielding, as he's got Slater and Jack all over the back of him as well. Slater, of course, had top 5 pace in that first race, or top 6 pace, I think, so he'll be looking racy, and I'm sure he'll be looking for a way through very shortly as well.
Indeed, Chris Slater in that Aston Martin wanted to try and climb up the order once again at the cost of the BMW runner ahead of James Fielding. There is our race leader, started his final lap. There was. Look how close Chris Slater is now, hustling hard the tail of James Fielding in that BMW. And what is he able to do? Is he going to try and banzai the inside on the way into the Robert chicane? He has a look. Not from that far back. Does not commit to it, quite wisely so. So he's got one more lap to try and improve his position. Gets a bit lively on the tail of the Aston Martin, trying to get the power down a little bit early, but does not yield a position. Is he going to try and dive on the inside of Redgate? Not. Well, kind of. The door was left open. James Slater didn't cover that inside line, but that Aston a bit unhappy on power, it seems. But still claims that 11th position. Neil Jack right behind in his Porsche, wanted to try and make advances as well.
I think Slater saw how much room Fielding left the lap before and basically tried a repeat of that manoeuvre. But speaking of repeating incidents, we've got Stuart McFadden once again winning race 2 here at Donington Park from 8 seconds this time ahead of Barron. It's a brilliant performance to go from 12th to 1st in one lap. Incredible stuff. Barron crosses the line in P2 and it'll be Boland in P3, so a repeat of the podium ahead of King and Arpino, with Finch in 6th. Hardwick's going to come through in 7th, although that's not Hardwick. That is, there's Finch in P6, I should say, sorry. And then Hardwick will be coming through shortly through the S's. Not expecting to be racing tonight, but it's going to be P7, just ahead of Jack Trunwitt in P8.
Well, I wonder if this is going to encourage Dan Hardwick to continue racing. Obviously, family and home situation allowing, but here comes the next flurry of cars. It's Scott from Ward, from Slater, from Jack, from Waters, from Fielding. Quite a few cars all in short succession. Then Eastwood comes over the line. Ichewski, we saw having that big issue early on. Just Weston, our pole sitter for this race, our reverse grid pole sitter, down in 17th in the end. But as we said at the end of the first race, what a race.
Yeah, that was super. We saw a lot more action in that one. We saw a lot of action in the first one, but we saw maybe a lot more chaos is the word in that second race, especially the first few laps. You saw the drivers towards the front. There were some mistakes. There was a bit of contact. And I think it's just, when it's a reverse grid, some of the drivers who maybe don't as often have a chance to race at the front tend to tighten up a little bit, and that's when mistakes can be made. And of course, it's, you get a bit more comfortable. You've just been used to warm tyres in the first race, and so all of a sudden you're in and it's cold. So we definitely saw a little bit of that, but this is the first round of the season, or the first 2 rounds of the season, so I'm sure the drivers will learn from their mistakes as we move forward. But what a performance from McFadden, it has to be said. Really laying down the gauntlet for the championship. This is someone who hasn't won this series yet and is now heading into season 4 with possibly a favourites tag on the back of the car, and now he's absolutely gone and snatched that tag away from anyone else. I think it's going to be difficult for people to stop him, but as you were saying earlier, plenty of different circuits coming up. It's fixed setups, so it might not be that his McLaren is quick around every circuit. He might struggle later on. Maybe he needed to win both of these races tonight, but he certainly has done that.
Oh, hasn't he just? That's an absolutely superb start to the season. It literally can't go better for Stuart McFadden. So he came home 3rd in the championship behind Ryan Martin and Chris Porty last time, neither of which are here this evening, or certainly not signed up to take part in the season thus far. But hopefully we'll have them and maybe more joining us in the course of the season. But we will see if our podium trio make themselves available. We do. We have all three that are wanting to come and have a chat to us. Well, let's chat to our double race winners. We didn't get a chance to chat to him the first time round, so let's pull into here. Stuart McFadden, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, not really anything we can say to that other than incredible.
Lap one was lap one, and I started 12th and I finished first, so I mean, I guess that's good. But yeah, I just really enjoy driving this little McLaren. It's just great. Like, it's just so much fun to drive. I picked it. It's not necessarily the fastest GT4, but when I drove it, I was like, I can actually drive this and sort of manipulate it to how I wanted it to be driven. And sort of tailor it to my driving style, whereas the Merc was just all over the place, and the Aston's all over the place, and my little McLaren's going well. I'm pleased.
Quite rightly so. I love the fact that you say it's not the fastest car out there. No one told you that quite clearly.
I got told that from someone that works with GT4s all the time.
I got you. So for those less familiar, again, you're another one of our serving Royal Air Force gentlemen. What is your day to day? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
I hate to be that guy, but I don't want to say on interview stream.
No, I totally understand that. Not everybody is comfortable doing so. Absolutely fair. So nothing wrong with that. So that's Donington Park out of the way. Next week, it is Knock Hill. Do you think the McLaren's going to be as strong there? It's very, very twisty and very hilly.
Yeah, Knock Hill is, as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not English. So Knock Hill is pretty much the only track that, I say the only track I'm looking forward to. That would sound horrible.
The one you're most looking, your local circuit.
Yeah, it is, yeah. I love Knock Hill. I don't know if it's just favoritism or if it actually is good. I think it actually is good. But yeah, I just really enjoy like driving it. Like I'm looking forward to that one next week. With it being fixed setup, I'm not sure how the car is going to be. I hope it is well. But yeah, I mean, I say this and then I'll be annoyed if I don't win next week. Not like a hockey way or anything. I just like winning.
You will win, Stuart. Scottish drivers always win at Knock Hill. It's just inevitable.
Oh, another Scotsman in here, yes.
Yeah, I know the Knock Hill local feeling. It's just the best track in the world, and you can't do anything but win there for sure, guaranteed.
Everyone says everything about the facilities and everything like that, but Knock Hill have upgraded the place year on year, and it's fantastic. And everyone says bad things about it, and it's just a shame. Knock Hill should be, everyone should just speak the good things about Knock Hill. But anyway, back to your question, Chris. I'm not too sure how it's going to be, but I just hope it's going to be, If the car isn't handling well, it's not handling well with these GT4s. What we're going to see through the season is some tracks benefit some cars benefit some tracks, etc., etc. So it's going to be good to see that ebbing and flowing of who's got the quickest car. Probably for your tracks at Alton Park, it's a bit more slow, and you really want that torque lower end. The Mercs with their engines are good because they're good in real life, and iRacing's so realistic it replicates that. The Aston, I'd say the same because it's the same engine. But yeah, I don't know how my little Macca is going to go, to be honest. That's what I'm going to call it now, my little Macca. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I still can't believe that lap one, man. Like, honestly, like.
Talk us through that. You had absolute chaos, literally detonating around you. I mean, it was like
the car driving away with all the explosions behind it. That was
it's a Michael Bay film that was taking place.
So I got a good start actually. I think it's quite good with especially the GT4s. All I need to do is upshift. So I think the reactions to that is much better rather than me lifting the clutch. I'm not really too good at that, to be honest. So I'm quite glad. I was moaning about it earlier, but yeah, please don't change it. Please keep it standing start if you're watching. But yeah, three cars crashed on the right hand side. So I was like, okay, typical lap one. I sent it around the outside, got the cut back on someone. Sorry I'm not naming names, I don't have my relative up, and I probably can't remember. and then I just try and keep my nose clean. I don't send it in lap 1 with semi-cold tyres, like, especially with the tyres on iRacing. If you push too hard at the start, then you'll just it's like a balloon effect, and you'll just lose grip for hours on end. But yeah, and then I got round to, where was it? They hit the old hairpin, and then everyone just started checking up. I was like, oh, what's happening here? I can't see a thing in front of me, and then this holy gap appeared. And I just, I just put my foot down. I was like, oh, this is nice, and just drove past. And then I was like, oh, all right, I'll sit behind these guys, just bring my tyres in, etc., etc. And then one of them went wide, so I went up the inside of them, and then one pulled into the pits, and I was like, oh, what the hell? I'm in the lead. Like, what the hell happened here? This wasn't supposed to happen, or was supposed to happen. But yeah, I wanted a bit of a race, to be honest. I like racing. Like, it was a bit boring, like, not being cocky or anything. It was a bit boring being out front. Pulling. But the only reason why I had such a gap is because everyone was squabbling. Like, I'm not sure what everyone else's pace was, but yeah, hope it next week that I get a bit more wheel to wheel, because that's what we all come here for. It's good winning, but I want to have a race with people. I like these people in this group, so yeah.
Yeah. We very much look forward to it as well. So time is pressing, so we do want to have a chat with our other podium guys. So great, superb night's racing. Well done on both the wins. Thank you very much, Stu McFadden.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for watching.
Let's grab our next podium sitter then. Let us have a chat with Adam Barron. Adam, are you with us?
I am indeed. Hello.
What a great job. John, all yours.
Yeah, so I mean, talk us through the first lap there, because I mean, we had Lightning McFadden up ahead of you, parting the seas. Everyone was going left, right, and centre. You didn't make up quite as many places as Stuart, but just talk us through the carnage from your perspective.
I think I was involved in half of it, like trying to avoid hitting the brakes. I think in the old hairpin on the first corner, I managed to spin Luke after he spanned someone else. So, and I had a bit of damage on the car as well. But yeah, I was watching Stu McFadden, and I was like, how does he get away with it? How has he managed to get all the way to the front that quickly? So it looks like everyone else had the same message, trying to took him out, and unfortunately failed. So you know, it was an interesting first few laps.
Thanks very much. I thought really not.
I've told you what you need to do. But yeah, no, it was an interesting first few laps, and then once I got past, I can't remember, we got past the second place. Then it all kind of quietened down, settled down. It was interesting to see though that my pace, Stu wasn't disappearing off into the distance. He was gradually going away. So it gives us hope for the next few rounds if we can mix it up a bit rather than him getting to the front and then just.
I wasn't pushing, man. I wasn't pushing.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
I mean, I guess no one could see him in the first lap because the car was so low, but that's probably why. But yeah, I mean, obviously, heading forward in the season, you know, you've got lots of different circuits, and obviously everyone's on fixed setup, so different cars will suit different circuits, and it could definitely still be all to play for. You have some experience in this Porsche. Of course, you raced this car your first season, which was season 2, I believe, and you only started sim racing 3 years ago. So this is, you know, this was an early experience for you within iRacing at the time. So what's changed in the car since then for you, and has anything changed in your approach to driving it since the previous season when you used it?
I think having the experience with it 2 years ago has helped. I'm not the fastest GT driver. You know, I don't do GT3s. I'm not exactly hot on it. But with the GT4s and this car being, you know, I've raced it before. I kind of know what its quirks are. Let's put it that way. Understeer mainly, but yeah, it's helped me out this year, and it does help that, you know, we've had a fair few fast drivers miss this first round. I'm thinking of Craig Durant and Ryan Martin as well for a couple of names. So it's been nice to get a nice early start with a couple of podiums. So I'm very happy with that. We'll just see how we go for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you next. I mean, what's your expectation? What's your aims for the year? Are you trying to go for that championship, or do you think it's maybe a little bit out of reach? Where's your head at?
If we was judging on this round only, I think the championship's out of reach. I think Stu's got one in the bag. But it all depends. Obviously, it's a long season, so we'll see what's what. If it was down to outright pace, then I'm probably not there. But I like to think I can race quite well in the races. So when it all gets mixed up, especially with the reverse grids, as you saw then, it changes the scene a bit. So fingers crossed. As long as I can finish well, sort of top 5, you get a podium occasion a week, maybe get an odd win, I'll be happy.
Well, 2 second places is a brilliant start to the season. Only you can only do it slightly better, so I think you should be very happy with that, and we look forward to seeing you fighting at the front for the remainder of the season. But well done tonight, Adam.
Cheers, John. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Adam Barron. And our last podium sitter of the night, Chris Boland. Are you with us?
Yep, here we are.
Well, talk us through lap 1.
I've just been watching it back then while I've been waiting for you guys, and I don't think I can, to be honest. It was it was carnage.
Very much so. So, I mean, did kind of most of it kind of pass you by, or you were just focusing on where you were going as opposed to where everyone else was going? Was that pretty much it?
Yeah, I think it was just self-survival at that point. I had a terrible start. I ended up bogging the car down, so I was dropping down, which probably did me a favour, actually, because I think I ended up avoiding most of the carnage. And then the next thing I know, I think it was Pete Plasto flash across the front of my car, and I ended up having to take, I think it was Jakajewski out as well. So apologies to him for that, but I had nowhere to go.
So next time out, we head to Scottish favourites, as we were talking about, Knock Hill. How do you think the big old Aston's going to handle the tight and twisty and bumpy circuit?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, if you've got any insider info for it, it's more than appreciated.
Go forwards. That's all I can. All I can
good place
suggest.
to start.
Based on some of your chicane antics in that previous race, Chris, I'd be worried for you. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think the fastest thing I've ever driven around Knock Hill is an MX-5, so it's going to be interesting going there with a big GT4.
A little bit of a difference. Where do you think championship-wise you're going for? Is there a particular spot you're aiming for? You came home 7th last time. Is it simply a case of better than that, or just simply to see the end of the championship?
No, 100% better than that. I felt that I could have done better last year as well. Unfortunately, I had a few little drop rounds and a few incidents, which cost me a bit. So I think top 3 is more than achievable. And then, like I said, in the first race, hopefully by the end of the season, we can try and just range Stu in a little bit.
I think I was responsible for most of those incidents last year, so apologies.
The rivalry continues. Excellent stuff. We very much look forward to the season as it pans out. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you very much, Chris Boland.
Cheers, guys.
And that is going to round out our festivities for this evening. Thank you very much to those that have been with us, either live or post-event. We very much enjoy your company. As mentioned, as you can see on screen, it is Knock Hill next time around, a very tight, twisty, bumpy circuit. It's going to be a really, really big challenge for our GT4 beasts. Thank you very much, John Monroe, for joining me in the commentary box.
Chris disappeared from me again there. I'm afraid.
There we go.
It's always when you ask me something, you disappear. So.
Yeah, I think you're just turning me off. You just don't want to listen. That's what, and I can't blame you entirely.
No comment.
Simply said, thank you very much for joining me in the box. It's a difficult task, but you weather it well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been great fun. Really, really enjoyed it. And the racing was superb. Just lots of clean action and then lots of chaotic action in race 2 as well. Excited for Knock Hill next time out and for the rest of the season. I think it's going to be great.
Absolutely so. Thank you very much, Steve Proudly, for being in charge of the broadcast. Very much exciting to have you on board, sir. And again, thank you very much to all of our participants again for their service in our armed forces and also for taking part in this series. So until next time, we look forward to your company for Knock Hill on the 5th. Until then, thank you very much and good night.